Hey, this is me building a $2 million a year business in public. Last month, I made 170 grand. And the way these videos work is we start with some Q&A where you guys can ask me any question you want on any one of my daily updates videos, and I'll eventually answer it. Then we do some growth stats. So we see how my brand growth has been over the course of the last 24 hours. In my case, this is going to be like 8 hours because I actually recorded my last video really late. And then last but not least, we will do some live strategy, which is usually just me brainstorming some strategic initiative that I'm doing, or, mapping something out or building a flow chart. Basically, I just want to show you guys what somebody making 170K a month with one of these sorts of businesses thinks about and focuses on. Okay. This is my main channel over here, 73K subs the other day, which is awesome. And then my daily updates channel looks like this. And I just scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the giant comment stack, which I think is 5 days out now because I haven't really answered too many, maybe 6. And then I answer. So Sergio says, "Hey, Nick, I've been following you for the past few months. Just wanted to start by saying a big thanks for all the value you share so generously. Thank you, my man. Quick question for you. When it comes to selling automations that involve scraping social media platforms, what's your approach to staying compliant with things like GDPR or platform rules when scraping is involved in order to stay out of trouble and offer a professional solution? I'm writing from Europe, where everything around data and AI seems to be getting heavily regulated lately." Tell me about it. Thanks again for everything you do. Your content is super valuable. Okay, so brilliant question. When's the last time you jaywalked? I jaywalk all the time. Jaywalking is technically illegal in many jurisdictions and so on and so forth. It is illegal. The vast majority of people still do it because at some level they have quantified the risk to reward ratio as being in their favor. This is one of those situations, and I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but this is one of those situations where I have done the calculation in my mind, and it seems kind of worth it. What we're doing is So what GDPR and what all these other regulations are doing, and there's stuff in Canada, the Can Spam Act. There's stuff in the United States. The name isn't coming to me right now. There's stuff in basically every country or any like federation. So it's not just the EU, but like the things that those regulations tend to really care about are like spammers. So there are mills that send out 1 million, 2 million, 3 million emails a day, and they say, "Hey, hello, dear. I just saw that you haven't picked up your Amazon package. Click this button to sign into Amazon." And they're running phishing scams. Okay. They're running massive, like 1 million a day spam campaigns that are selling total BS products. Okay. They've been running these things for years. I think when push comes to shove and when these regulations, and I'm sure they inevitably will, come into effect and people start actually like executing on them, like, oh, this person's spamming, we're going to take them to court, we're going to find do some big thing. And they've done a little bit of this. Why would it make sense for them to start with somebody like you or I? We're sending a few hundred emails a day. Our emails have the perception of being hyper customized and hyper personalized. When we reach out with a bunch of values. We're actually giving people stuff right off the bat. We're scraping data, not from any illegal source or whatever. We're taking data directly from LinkedIn, where there's some sort of like, informed consent that if a person writes about themselves on LinkedIn, they may have somebody reach out to them. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you just like kind of work out the logic in your head, it seems to me that there's just no real, it seems to me that I guess litmus test is sort of like, it's like when you go ice skating or something. I don't know if you guys go ice skating in Canada. We do that pretty often, but it's like going ice skating and like wearing a helmet, like a lot of people are going to say you have to wear a helmet. Absolutely. You should wear a helmet if you're not very good at ice skating, but it's also kind of an inconvenience to deal with every tiny recommendation that everybody will throw at you. You know what I mean? Don't get more than an hour of sunlight a day. It's like yesterday I got 5 hours of sunlight. I do that every now and then. My face gets a little bit more burnt because of it, but I'm able to live a much more healthy and engaging life, I like to think, over the long term by sacrificing on my scrupulous adherence to all these principles in the short term. So those are my honest thoughts on that. I got a lot of people from the EU in my programs. A lot of people ask these questions. So I would say if you want to target a European market, you're dead set on that, play it by ear, obviously, and take this advice at your own peril. But I personally have not found it to be an issue. And then if you are really worried about this, just target an American market instead. Americans pay more money anyway. It's like 50% increase in labor productivity. You get $1,000 project across the EU. That equivalent project will be $1,500 in the United States, and you can scrape whatever the hell you want over there. It's basically the wild, wild west still, right? So I guess, yeah, hopefully that solves your problem. Solves a couple of problems anyway. Every time I alt tab, I have to do this annoying thing because I have another tab open. Sorry about that. Bongpot says, "What are the biggest levers you learn to pull when it comes to personal branding? Is there anything that surprised you or seems counterintuitive that you come across in your branding journey?" That's a really good question. I haven't thought about this at all. What are your biggest levers you learn to pull when it comes to personal? I mean, well, okay. Yeah, I have thought about this. Obviously, the biggest one is just like volume, right? The second biggest one is I guess it's not surprising, but when you talk about how much money you make, people listen to you. I'm reminded of this really funny example. And it's like, what is the most inherently engaging piece of content ever? If you just were to like scroll through YouTube and look at a thumbnail and a title, it would be something like, you know, 2 convicted bank robbers rate TV heists for 52 minutes or something, or, for 15 minutes. That stuff is inherently super fascinating. Why? I mean, obviously there's a lot of intrigue and it's like bank robbers and stuff, but like the more important thing is they've actually they're experts at something. They're professionals at something. They're like really, really good at something. And so it is inherently interesting to see somebody that's really good at something talk about doing it or how to do it or how to think about it or rating other people, right? So yeah, I mean, I already knew that, but just seeing that play out, like with the content that I was making, when I'd be like, hey guys, I made all this money, okay? And so you guys all want to make this money. Let me tell you what my thoughts are on all this stuff as somebody that makes money. My engagement just went through the roof. Everybody just started liking what I was talking about. And that's kind of where I realized you need a ton of signal to stand out in the crowded marketplace these days. If you haven't achieved the thing that you're talking about achieving, like you could be a mindset guru all day, but like if that mindset hasn't actually materialized and given anybody any sort of, or you, any sort of thing that people care about, most of the time it's money or relationship success or, super cool body or whatever. Yeah, then it's people aren't really going to listen to it. So what are the biggest levers I learned to pull? Volume by minimizing the friction involved in production, like I'm doing right now, just recording this from my hotel room on a grainy ass camera. Doesn't really matter to me because I'm still producing content. Momentum, consistency, and then having some social proof. All right. Tristan J says, how does the onboarding process work? I'm confused on how to gather clients' Google Calendar access and etc. I love your strategy on this. Thank you, my brother. Much love. No problem, my man. Another question is, how do you even crush tasks so fast? What's your strategy? I haven't really been crushing tasks very fast the last couple of days. I have been, just been enjoying life and not really head down focusing on the computer. I've been doing my daily actionables, of course, but I mean that, hour and a half in the morning. Struggling in this finished duties task fast. Took me 3 days to complete my website using Lovable. I know for a fact that's too long. Sort of embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed. You probably suffer from some perfectionist tendencies, right? And you've been told your entire life that if you're going to do something, you got to do it really well, and that the product that you put out has to be very great. And I think that this was great advice 15 or 20 years ago. But the reality is nowadays, what's more important is finding some sort of distribution for the thing you're building first before justifying the time that you'll spend building it. So what that means in practice is don't spend 2 weeks building a system that you think does all this stuff. Spend a day building 90% of that system, okay? And then start selling it. And then when you sell it, then you can work out the kinks as the people use it. Is this the most optimal from the customer point of view? No, but it's the most optimal from your point of view. And that's the only thing that matters, right? You're trying to get up and running and build a thriving business. So yeah, that's how I answer that. And then the onboarding process, I mean, I've talked at length about this, and I don't want to just link people to other resources. I understand a big chunk of the value of these daily updates is me just talking people through problems that I may have talked about before, but just personalizing them. So let me do it for you. I will get on a kickoff call with the prospect. And then basically the simplest and easiest way to do all this is just to do it all up front. If you do it all up front, you never have to worry about 2FA, or you rarely have to worry about 2FA. You rarely have to ask the client, hey, what's your password for this? I forgot. Or, hey, I just realized I need access to whatever. So the structure is you get on a kickoff call with the client after you sign the deal and you say, hey, Peter, John, Samantha, Sally, here's how the next 20 or 30 minutes are going to go. First, we're going to talk timelines and expectations, and I just want to answer any outstanding questions that you may have. Then, that list that I sent you over email a few days ago, a list of all the platforms that we're going to use. I'm actually just going to sit down with you and we're going to sign up to all of them live. That way, I'm going to get all the access I need ahead of time, and I've done a ton of these automation projects, simplest way to do things. And at the end, if you wanted to do some back and forth, or you wanted to talk maybe some future projects after this one is done, we can absolutely do that. Does that sound good? Thumbs up? Yeah. Everybody's super stoked on it. It's pretty high energy, and you get to kick off a project really, really well. Here's what the SOP for that looks like, okay? So this is actually a document that just runs through everything. Timelines, availability, platforms, wrap up. So, I mean, feel free to pause the video and just jot that down if you guys want. But that's what that looks like. So by the end of that, you'll have access to everything, which is nice. Shamir at Global Impact says, Nick, curious and maybe a little confused. Why didn't you just set up systems that allowed you to break through to $170K a month with your automation business, as opposed to getting there with teaching? I asked because of my own curiosity with scaling to $100K a month with AI, not really wanting to teach. Almost feels as if you felt it had to be a one-man band with the AI business unless you pivoted to teaching. It's a great question, but there's a lot of discussion on this. Let me just get some context here. Kieran thought about the same thing. I'm all for communities and course. Our team is in maker school. Thank you very much. Also suspicious of people who claim to build giant businesses while a large portion of the revenue comes from teaching other people to make money with their business model. If we're such a cash cow, why not double down and scale while keeping the secrets? Don't get me wrong. I feel the same way. It's all just about incentives, right? So you are right to be incredulous about people that make these big revenue claims, and then they don't actually make any money with the service they're doing. Hopefully I've laid out the logic as to why. Check yesterday's video if you want more on that. Okay, and then Luke, touches on something which I'll touch on. So scalability business. Yes, that's true. I do really love to teach. Navis says, learn some damn basic things about leverage, loser. No, it's not like basic thing about leverage at all, but I appreciate you in my corner. Yeah, I could be on $1 million a month for sure. There are a couple of reasons why. Yeah, man, no problem. Talk whatever. I had somebody call me a trust fund. Did I tell you guys I had somebody call me a trust fund kid a little while ago? This is not that. This is you asking a genuine question about why I'm doing something, and then talking about running an AI agency business model. So it's much more scalable. Okay, so I think what did I say yesterday? It's much more scalable to run this sort of business. Much more scalable. I think I might have talked with you guys about the difference in the way that the revenue of this works. Right? If you run an agency, agencies are actually a lot more fragile. And when you're at the start line of your business, you've never run a business before, you've never made any money, like me. I guess 8 or 9 years ago when I started getting into the services space, agencies are the straightest line path of just like materializing revenue. So 0 to 1, nothing faster, but you're trading all that speed that you get as a positive for the downside, which is that it's fragile. Okay. It tends to be fragile. It's also a lot less scalable because you need a lot more people in your business in order to make it work. If you want to really grow, the margins as you grow tend to be poor. So, if you did want to end up selling a business like that, okay, all the time and energy you're putting into building the equity of the business, you can still sell agencies for a lot, but a lot of the time and energy you put into the building the equity of the business, it's just to get like a 3x multiple or something like that anyway, which is really low comparative to a lot of the other things you could do. And all of these factors and more come together into this equation that I have. And I may be wrong here, but it's where at the beginning, you start with services and you front load services. You make a ton of money immediately upfront, a few $100,000 or whatever, more money than most people would make. And then you take that money and then you put it into a more scalable vehicle. So in my case, I made a ton of money with agency stuff. And then I put it into a much more scalable vehicle. And I started experimenting, exploring with honestly, just better business models. Like I was saying yesterday with Liam Motley talking about all roads lead to info. All roads really do lead to info at the end of the day. It's just like a more optimized business model. It's like instead of me giving a man a fish, I am teaching the man how to fish and then charging him a monthly recurring subscription for that knowledge. It's better. The MRR is a lot stickier. Yeah, maybe not stickier. The revenue is a lot more predictable. There are a lot of people out there that are starting to guess at the sellability of these communities. And right now, obviously it relies mostly on me and my face and my presence, which is one of the reasons I'm able to grow much faster than like a faceless brand. But I don't know. I could totally see like a future where I could sell a community or I could sell an information product business for way more than I'd be able to sell an equivalent agency. As to your point on why I don't just keep it all to myself and hide the systems and secrets and then just, well, if it's so great, then why don't you just sit on this cash cow and not tell anybody and then just do it all day? I don't really like doing that. I think this is a massive opportunity right now in being super authentic and then just telling people everything that you're doing and talking about and thinking about, telling people that you're only making $25K a month with the agency when you're actually making another $140,000 a month or so with all of the other coaching products. Just being upfront, being genuine and peeling back the curtain. If I were to continue hiding all of that stuff, I think I'd miss on that big opportunity. So yeah. There's another thing here. Actually, and this is a big motivator behind why I'm doing the info stuff, because I think that there's really only a couple of years left where you could become a major creator. This is one of my central thesis points. And when I was talking about this with Zach, one of my best friends, when I was in Mexico a couple of years ago, which is where I thought through all of this, by the way, I guess a year ago, where I thought through all of this and I kind of figured out, okay, I'm definitely going to go down this route as opposed to just scaling up the agency. My central thesis is we only have a couple of years to really build a brand, because the amount of synthetic content that's going to be coming out over the course of the next years is going to be so bonkers that, like, if it's hard to build a brand right now, can you imagine trying to build a brand in a marketplace that has 1,000,000 times more content? At minimum, you'll be 1,000,000 times worse. But then think about how much higher quality the synthetic content is going to be than the real content anyway. So if you could build a brand based off reputation and authenticity today, there's so much more future potential, let's say, than if I just built an agency, which is a business model that, people have had around for a while. Now, makes sense for me. I'm thinking pretty big. I have a ton of distribution. That makes all this info product stuff a no-brainer, okay? But for people that are smaller, don't have the distribution, maybe don't have the agency skills. Like I've spent the last, 8 years of my life just doing agency stuff, right? Like I understand how agencies work. I get it. For people that don't have all of these things, agencies are the straightest line path to getting there, and you got to grow. If you want to make some quick money and claw yourself out of poverty or whatever and learn business skills, you start with an agency. So yeah, anyway. Is there anything else I can answer that would provide more context on this? Because I'm just going to use this video to answer all future questions on this. Because, yesterday I got the same question. A couple days ago, I got the same question. I get it. I just want to make sure I can explore this really, really fully. It feels as if you had it to be a one-man band. It's not that I had it to be a one-man band. I'm just, I'm cognizant of my own failures. I don't like managing people. And I'm not a very good manager either. So I really wanted to run a hyper-scalable business model with as few people as possible. And agencies are just tough to do that at, about $1 million a year approximately. So, there are a few people doing it. I tried Brett at Design Joy. Check him out. Really cool guy. I mentioned him a couple times in this channel, but I tried running the same sort of agency as this fella here, who makes over $100,000, and keep in mind, anytime you get to a certain level of success, everybody's going to be like, you're a scammer, you're a rage baiter, you're blah, blah, blah. Just keep that in mind. Okay. 145K MRR, just running an agency, a one-man agency called Design Joy. I mean, over about half of what he was doing. And I was just like, all right, well, design isn't my skill set. I'm sure I could back up and I could try design as a business model to do this sort of thing, which I think just works way better with design because there's simpler scopes and more defined process, fewer areas to screw up. But like, I don't really want to do that. So are there any alternative ways that I could leverage this experience too? Anyway, what else we got here? Yeah. So no keeping the secrets. Not big on that. I do love to teach and I'm very good at this as well. Yeah, do not want to become a manager. He could be on $1 million a month setup. He's the AI automation god. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, and to answer this question here, bro, like employing leverage is way easier with teaching. Way easier. Content, media, code, 3 main forms of leverage, right? Sorry, not content, media, code. Content, code, and people. Okay. Content leverage, way easier than people leverage. Like way, way easier. So fewer places to screw up. When I make a video, I could do it in like an hour. I don't need a single other human being on board. Now I have a team, but back then I didn't need a single other person on board. I can put it out and then that can do the work of 100 salespeople 24/7 doing the job for me. The video has to go viral. You have to have the distribution, stuff like that. But think about that. Okay. Versus me hiring this big sales team to do all this closing or whatever. If I could build a template that eliminates 80% of the work involved in building a system, okay, and then I sell it at some discount, or I give it to you in my community if you sign up, then instead of me having to hire a big fulfillment team to do it all for you, you just get my template, you get 80% of the way there, and then we arbitrage and you pay me a little bit less money for the value, right? I could do all that just as one man, and I could have that infinite content mill that produces these templates and stuff like that, and I could do it myself. So hopefully this is about as comprehensive as an answer I can give to this question. I know I'm kind of running out of time here, so I'm gonna call the questions right there. But yeah, 100%, man, 100%. So I feel you, and I'm glad you asked that question. I should probably title this video something about that so that I can just like quickly link it. And then if I see any questions like that, then I'll just double back. Fallen Ass says, I feel so stupid about sleeping 5 hours a day. Just spend 3 more hours working every day because I'm sore. Don't sleep 5 hours a day, my bro. If you sleep 5 hours a day, it's because you think that your bottleneck is time. But when you sleep 5 hours a day, your bottleneck shifts from time to not getting enough sleep. Not getting enough sleep very quickly becomes a bottleneck. It's the reason why you can't work hard. It's the reason why you can't work long. It's the reason why your thoughts get so distracted. I just got a couple of days of pretty shitty sleep, let me tell you, and totally different ability to focus completely. I mean, like, yeah, Think about it like this, kind of statistics, kind of numbers. Throw some numbers here, okay? If you normally sleep, let's say 8 hours, and you need 8 hours to perform, okay? Let's say this helps you perform at 100%, okay? You think that you'll sleep 5 hours. What that means is, if you do the math, you basically get 3/8 more time, right? You get 3 hours more. Sorry, three. Oh Jesus, this is why I can't do this in my head, because I did not get enough sleep. Okay, so basically, previously you had 16 hours a day to work. Now you have 19 hours a day, right? So basically, this is what you get. You get 118%. It's 119% more time. Or basically, when you sleep 8 hours, you have 100% time. When you sleep 5 hours, you have 119% time. That 3 hours that you just gained back, though, is going to reduce your efficiency by like freaking 40%. Okay, at least. I mean, I think it's way worse than this. But if you think about like your total efficiency or effectiveness score, it actually ends up being much, much lower. So you think, I don't have my pen, which is why I'm having to do this manually. You think that you're getting 120 or 119%, the units of work done. In reality, you're getting 71% of the units of work done. That's on a day-by-day basis. Now, if you like accumulate sleep debt every day for the rest of your life, like you're going to die like 15 years earlier or something. That's 15 years times, 19 hours or 16 hours a day that you're just not going to get to work. It also is 15 fewer years of life. The rest of your life is also just going to suck. You're going to be higher blood pressure. You're going to take medication. You're going to be uglier. You're going to be smellier. You're going to be less intelligent. People are going to like you less. You're going to have bags under your eyes. You're going to hurt. Bro, it makes no sense to sleep substantially less than you need to, okay? Get your sleep first. Worry about everything else later. Like, there's always, there's always room, obviously, to sleep more. Sleep like, the 80-20, which for most people is like 8 hours. But definitely don't try and cut yourself down to almost half the amount of sleep that the average human being needs in order to function. Some people are built different for sure. I'm not. I need like 9 hours of sleep to be at 100%. So this equation would be even worse for me. Okay. Let's do some brand stats. Man, the growth has been pretty wild the last few days. So the growth isn't going to look super wild because I did just record this video like a few hours ago. Sorry, copied the link. I did just record this video a few hours ago. I got really late yesterday, but this tells me we're probably about 800 realistically. I'll go to my Instagram channel now. 94,293. And then if we go to my daily updates channel, it's this one. We have 3190. Ooh, so close to 3,200, huh? I keep forgetting to monetize my videos. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so, I mean, this is obviously not representative of my real growth. It's not like I declined 4 times or 3 times over the last few days. It's just that I didn't really. Normally I do these daily updates at a pretty consistent time, but I didn't do it this time. So that's that. Oh boy, am I already tired. It's like just the freaking morning. That's really brutal. Yeah, that's why you got to get your sleep, ladies and gentlemen. So, last couple of days have been really good. I got a ton of sun yesterday. Hella sunburn, which is fun. Walking around lovely Vancouver proper. Going out with a good buddy of mine today. We're going to do a lot of man stuff. Probably going to buy a fat ass juicy prime rib steak. Usually the way it works is my friend's an incredible cook, so we usually like either sous vide it or he'll like reverse sear it. So in this case, he's probably going to reverse sear it. But I buy like a huge block of beef or something, and then it's his responsibility to cook it for us. It's like kind of our thing. And we're going to do that today. Then we're going to go on like a hell of like a marathon. He does these like 10 or 20K walks every day. Guy's nuts, man. Crazy. But he's lost a ton of weight over the course of the last few months doing it. And he's just wanted to show me for a while. Now that I'm in town, he's going to run me through it, show me a couple of cool spots. And that's going to be fun. May catch a movie later. That is basically what's on my plate today. So first time in a long time that I'm just going to take a little bit of time away from the desk and the computer. But I do think that is necessary every once in a bit. yeah, I've seen some tremendous growth over the last little bit, just locking the hell in, which is nice. So looking forward to getting back to work too. Getting back on that consistent sleep schedule. It's going to be fun. Maker School, right? The churn. Let me just cover that before I wrap up here. Maker, oh boy, I can't even do Maker School. Maker School is almost at 1,900 members now. Crazy. So we're going to have to increase the price again. But check this out. Churn's at 17%. And this is now at 122K MRR. Its conversion rate's at 6%. We just flooded it with a bunch of about page visitors. If I update this, I think the stats might change. Okay, no, they're not changing materially. Anyway, Maker School's making a ton of money. But check this out. Make Money with Make is also now making a ton of money. And we have just increased the membership cap from 400 to 500. So I'm going to be increasing the price now as well as everybody's coming in. I'm going to be removing the waitlist feature, probably re-recording a video. And then this price is going to be a lot higher. And then I'm going to get some churn and some new blood in here, which I think is going to be pretty big. I'm also going to be adding a ton more pieces of value here, like the agency hot seat, like the community exclusives, and like a couple of other things. Then I'm going to change it from 400 to 500. So that's pretty big. I've been on the cusp of this change for quite a while. This is also going to bump up my revenue, of course, which is fantastic. So yeah, I don't think it's unrealistic for me to hit $200,000 next month. I really don't. I think I might be able to do more. Yeah, like I don't know if I'll do the 210K exactly. Maybe it'll be like $205,000 or something, but like pretty crazy profit numbers, I think, to be doing. Especially considering that I'm just still going through Maker School and MakeMoneyWithMake.com myself, using all of this crystallized knowledge and my new learning on a daily basis to like answer people's questions and help them. Yeah, it's wild. The consulting field can be crazy. I'm so thankful to all of the time I spent. I know that this kind of gets in the way of the points that I make, but I'm so thankful for all the time that I spent like reading psychology books way back in the day. I feel like all of that time that I spent, that I was like, oh, okay, this is a waste of time. I'm not actually using any of these points in life. But like all of this time I spent learning and like building like this stable base of mental foundation has let me, look at a problem that a beginner would have really struggle with and then just think, oh, they should just do this. Like it comes pretty naturally, I would say. So that's incredible. Another thing that happened is Ty Lopez reposted one of my Instagram reels the other day. So I can now say that Ty, I was just on Ty's channel. This is on his Instagram, which I think is 3 million or something like that, which is pretty big. I didn't see a massive bump or boost in subscriber count. So I don't know if like, or not subscriber count, but like people that came in, and he did not watermark me. He didn't even link to me, which kind of sucks. But I think he just did it himself, which I like. I like the authenticity there. He basically was like, yo, this guy and the stuff he's talking about is crazy. AI automation is going to take over the world. Some stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be in the same reel as this guy because he was a big chunk of the reason why I started my SMMA journey back in my early 20s. And that's what like got me into the agency space to start with. Kind of coming full circle, huh? Okay, so I'll leave it there. And I'm going to try and make this the foundational video that I just shove everybody to every time they're like, wait, why are you making 25K with your agency and then like 150K with the rest of your stuff? So we'll see how that goes. If you guys have any questions, then feel free to drop them down below on the Daily Updates channel as per usual. If you guys like this sort of stuff and want to see more and want to actually get like the play-by-play, get daily accountability videos from me and stuff like that, go to Maker School where I walk you through everything you need to know in order to start an AI automation business from 0 to 1. If you guys already have an AI automation business or a similar service-based business, you guys want to scale it up with proven techniques, new program that I'm putting together for Make Money with Make, and just like the most badass community of almost 500 people now, soon to be 500 AI automation pros on planet Earth. But definitely check out that community because my prices are going up like crazy over the course of the next couple of weeks. I'm already sick and tired of advertising, so I'm going to call it there. I'll see y'all tomorrow.